Hello everyone and welcome to the second half of Mega Man World 2. In the last part we did the first half and now we're here with the Mega Man 5 Robot Masters. Crystal Man, Napalm Man, Stone Man, and Charge Man, and we're heading after Crystal Man first. Why? Because he's the easiest to Mega Buster, because the Mega Man 4 and 5 Robot Masters in this game don't have weaknesses to each other. They're only weak to their respective game's bosses as far as I'm aware at least. Either way, I should probably start off by doing Ballade's bio from last part, since I didn't have much time to do it. Ballade is the final model of the robot Mega Man of the Mega Man Killer series. As he believes he is the strongest robot, he can't help fighting robots who look strong. Good point, has a challenging spirit. Bad point, he's kinda stupid. Likes being number one, and dislikes disappointing foes. Though I'm not sure if that means disappointing them as in like, we're disappointing, or he's disappointing them by not giving them a good enough fight. Probably the former. Either way, you're gonna notice the Robot Master stages in this part aren't anything at all like their Mega Man 5 counterparts, aside from a few sections in them. That's because we're technically not in them sections. Like, this is the only section of Crystal Man stage that really looks like his original stage at all. Mostly. That's because we're actually on that tank that Wily had. The latter half of this game is that these Robot Masters are protecting that tank, and to gain access to it, we need to beat them. Though this section of the game isn't without its own hidden goodies, though, as we'll see momentarily. Like, first off, fall down this pit, then prepare to take some damage if you don't hold left. Because these guys... By the way, actually, these guys really hurt. That little crystal that I just shot out will do like a 30 of your health. If you head to the right here, we can find something. A W. These four stages also have a letter. W, I, L, and Y, which obviously spells Wily. You need all four of these in order to access the final level, because I think this is actually a game where you can revisit stages, weirdly enough. So make sure you grab those first attempts, because you can't do that in this game. Gotta say though, not really feeling the Crystal Man remix. Mind you, I know it's fairly obvious because I've stated it numerous times before, and if you ever watch my Mega Man 5 LP, it's pretty apparent that I actually haven't played 5 as much, so its soundtrack never really stuck in my head as much as the others. Though mind you, I think 5 actually had one of the easier, some of the easier challenges in the Mega Man Legacy Collection. I keep on wanting to say Anniversary Collection, though that's an entirely different game. Actually, wasn't there a Game Boy Advance version of the Mega Man Anniversary Collection? I think there was, but it only had like 5 of the games, which was weird. Mind you, Max Payne also had a Game Boy Advance version, which was especially weird, though apparently it was actually decent. Now, there's actually two routes you can take here, the lower one with the ladder or by rush coiling up here. I've always taken the rush coil route. I have no idea what's down there, honestly. I won't be surprised if there's some dickish level design, but eh. Though I can say for a fact is that, aside from maybe Ringman stage, Mega Man 4 doesn't have as many bad stage designs as Mega Man World 3 did. Maybe it's because they realized, oh, hey, we did write it. We did some good stuff, actually. Though if I recall correctly, Keiji Inafune actually stated himself that he was very pleasantly stated with the flow between Mega Man's World 3 and 4. Because, honestly, 3 and 4 are probably my favorites in the series now after playing through this, because I've been testing 5 out for its recording, and I don't find it as fun as these two. I think I know why, too, because there are some strange mechanics in Mega Man World 5. Though, it's now a toss-up between this and Mega Man World 3 for my favorites of their series. Though I can't tell which one I like more at this point. Anyway, these platforms are very basic. They actually work very similarly to a platform in Mega Man 6. When you jump on one side and switch to the other. Those platforms were in Windman stage and one of the Mr. X stages, if I recall correctly. Actually, no, I do recall correctly. That was that. This is kind of stupid, though. Well, it's understandable why they did this, because you have rush kill no matter what. You have to shoot that thing and then hit it. Yeah. The one thing I should warn you about, I think these four stages share the mentality that some parts of Mega Man World 3 had. Or was it Mega Man World 2? Either way, your ammo doesn't replenish between stages, if I recall correctly, which is why Dr. Light in his shop has a... what's it called? He has a item that can replenish all your weapon energy. I think that's here. That might be for one of the final stages, though. I completely forget. Even though I just recorded this last night, but oh well. Also, I should actually have enough to buy the energy equalizer soon, which I recommend you do as soon as possible, because having weapon energy automatically go to the lowest weapon is pretty good. Either way, Crystal Man's pretty simple. He almost always jumps to move around, aside from when he has a lot of stuff going around. His initial attacks are the Crystal Flash, which bounces around the room like that, and after that he does some very small pellet attacks. I don't think he has a specified weakness aside from maybe the charge kick we get from Charge Man. But honestly, Mega Buster is a bit easier to take him out with because he's not on the floor nowhere near as nowhere near as often as he is in the air. Not terribly hard, so he's easily the best choice out of the Mega Man 5 Robo Masters to take out first. And for beating him, we get Crystal Flash, which is more or less the least useful weapon out of the ones we get in the game. The way it works is that you fire a big shot and then it bounces around the room like his Crystal Flash did. Crystal Eye. I could have sworn it was Crystal Flash. What am I thinking of? I don't know. No, I'm probably combining it with the Flash Stopper. It can be useful, especially in tight corridors, but not to me. Either way, I have 168, so I can finally buy that energy equalizer. This is easily the weapon you should, not the weapon, the item you should always get first. After that, the only ones I recommend you get are maybe S-Tanks. Because honestly, E-Tanks in this game are pretty plentiful, pretty plentiful, especially in the later stages, and so are the energy tank shards, so you shouldn't really need to buy any of them. Weapon tanks, maybe, but an S-Tank can suffice for that. Either way, next up is Napalm Man, one of my favorite Robo-Masters, actually. He's also one of my favorite net navies, because NapalmMan.exe is awesome, especially in Battle Network 5. And his stage is a bit odd in terms of its gimmick. Wait, actually, that's one thing I'll give Mega Man World for. Because of these stages, the gimmicks are a lot more original. You're going to want to hold right initially so you can come over here. You see that fire? That is instant kill. However, you can put the fire out with Rain Flush. And doing so allows us to come here for a little bit of an Easter egg. Oh, hey! Where have you been the past 3 games? And Program Man gives you a full energy capsule, a large energy capsule, and you can also get an energy tank and a large P-chip amount. That's a nice little Easter egg, though don't drop down the ladder because the fire respawns. Actually, if you just wail along on the screen long enough, this fire will respawn on its own, so that's just a matter of time thing. Anyway, this stage's gimmick is not what it was in Mega Man 5 at all. You saw it happen on screen just slightly there in the top right, but there are drills that come out of the walls. Or not out of the walls, out of pits in the ceiling and the floor, that you need to ride along a lot. Like this one will come down just barely enough for me to jump on it, and then I have to ride it along for the rest of this room. Gotta give this game credit for making some original gimmicks, unlike Mega Man Worlds 1 through 3, which only made like maybe 1 or 2 each. Not many of the rooms require you to chase down the item, but it's there either way. You could go get that amount of P-chips, but it's honestly not worth it to me. Though you do get some close calls like that. Oh, God. Oh. Oof. I flinched a bit when that happened. You can destroy the drills if you shoot them enough, but you really don't want to in most cases. Because they're there to help you. And oh, hey, a Mega Man 6 enemy. Yeah, weirdly enough, this section not only blends Mega Man 5 parts, but there's also some Mega Man 6 in it for some reason. Mind you, this came out the year of Mega Man 6, so I can understand why, because there was in their developmental mind, they were like, what enemy should we use here? Why not one from this game? Why not? Though you will learn to hate these guys. They are, I believe, from Napalm Man's stage in Mega Man 5, and they're one of the most annoying trap-type enemies in the series, in my experience at least, because they rise up a bit faster than most of the others. I mean, you'll get hit in midair, and you'll just go careening into the pit, which sucks. Oh well, I can get over that at least. You know, from a stage design mentality, I always, well, first off, there's the ladder for this stage. The way you have to get this one is climb up this ladder, jump to the left, and use Rain Flush in order to go over where the fire was. You could feasibly jump on the platforms back and forth, but you could just put Rain Flush on, jump, 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 and then run back right. Because as you'll see here, the fire does respawn. And what was I gonna say? Oh, first off, coming up here, there is a extra life over there, yeah. The way you get that is with Ring Boomerang. And this is a pretty self-explanatory section. I do have to wonder sometimes from a stage design perspective why they put enemies behind walls, because classic Mega Man can just shoot right through them. X can't in most cases. So I'll write it off in like the PlayStation games onwards, but in this, that never made much sense to me. Oh yeah. That always makes me flinch a little bit because you really have to hurry up and not die there. And sometimes you'll get cases like this where the drills actually make the pathway for you. I really like the stage gimmick. And here we are in Napalm Man. He's weak against the Crystal Eye, so get that out. And Napalm Man is a very destruction-based robot. He doesn't really jump often, in my experience. But he likes to fire a lot of missiles all around the place. When he's standing still, he'll fire these kind of missiles. Well, actually, no, he does jump fairly often now that I think about it. But sometimes when he's walking, he'll fire out his napalm bombs, which do this. Well, what happens is they fall in an arc and then just blow up on the ground. However, with Crystal Eye, he's really easy. Even easier than his Mega Man 5 incarnation, actually, because of the lessened HP. After beating him, we get that napalm bomb attack, which you shoot in an arc and it lands on the ground exploding, meaning it actually has a bit of residue. However, it doesn't explode immediately. It does actually bounce around on the floor a little bit. Mega Man does not look too interested right there, by the way. This is an alright weapon. I don't use it too much, though. And next up is Stone Man. Honestly, Stone Man's never been a favorite of mine. Not even the Battle Network series, although at least in the Mega Man Anti-Warrior manga, he had a pretty entertaining purpose because he was only there for one chapter, and he got taken out by one sword to the chest, which is nowhere near the amount of HP he had in Mega Man Battle Network 1. Either way, his stage is very vanilla. A lot of gimmicks we've seen before, like these rocks, and the only real big twist with it is that it has maybe one or two alternate routes. It does bring in the med tools from Mega Man 5, I believe it is, that split into mini med tools when you kill them. Or is that from Mega Man 4? I forget, there's been too many med tools throughout the series. So it's honestly not that interesting of a stage. We have the Hippo mini-bosses from Ringman stage of Mega Man 4, finally. The best way to take him out is 3 diagonally fully charged Pharaoh shots. So the way you're supposed to take him out is shoot that platform they're on enough so that you can just aim at them. And it's here that the different physics from the normal NES games kind of screws me over in the Mega Man World Series because jumps like this happen. If I was playing Mega Man 6 NES, I would have made that flawlessly. I hope. Mind you, I can say for a fact that more or less the control works for the stage design that they made, so they at least designed it around that. If this was, say, I don't know, Bubsy 3D, or let's see, what's another game where the control doesn't really match the stage design? A lot of Sonic 1? I'd have more of a problem with that, but Mega Man's never meant to go too fast, so I'll give him that at least. You know, taking out mini-bosses in 3 shots really makes me wish I could do that in Mega Man 9 to those dragons so I'd have enough black hole bomb for the boss of that stage. I really don't like that stage in Mega Man 9. Honestly, now I'm trying to think back. Stone Man stage in Mega Man 5 didn't really have anything going for it either, so I guess this is a case where they just kept it a bit too close to its original. Then again, by the looks, this is also the only stage that doesn't take place anywhere near that tank unless we're like underneath it in a mining facility for oil, which actually I can kind of see. Either way, we're actually coming up at the point where the letter is sort of, if I recall the stage design correctly at least. Yeah, we are. This is where the split in the path is. You can slide to the left and take this path, but the letter is actually to the right, so we want to head to the right first. I don't think I've actually ever gone to this left path, so I don't know what's over here. Go ahead, maybe write in the comments below if you know, because I have no idea. It's probably more of the same, but that'd be nice to know. There's the L. No, Wily, you really shouldn't leave the keys to your fortress in that much of an open space. Either way, Stone Man is, if you've noticed the pattern, weak against Napalm Bomb, so get that out. And Stone Man is actually kind of an annoying boss in this one, unlike Mega Man 5, because of the lessened screen space. He jumps around a few times, which obviously touch damage. Occasionally, on like the 4th or 5th jump, he'll either do his Power Stone attack, do a large jump, which will then cause the screen to shake, and if you're on the ground, you'll be stunned, and then he'll fall apart, reassembling after that. The main problem with him is trying to angle Napalm Bomb into hitting him, but honestly, if you have Napalm Bomb, he's easy enough, I suppose. But without it, he's actually a pretty annoying boss because he takes a lot of damage, a lot of hits to kill. And for beating him, we get that Power Stone attack he used. The way it works is that it shoots out 3 different stones from Mega Man's body in 3 trajectories. In Mega Man 5, this was useless. In Mega Man World 4, it's still kind of useless. In all but 2 exceptions. One later on, and another against Charge Man. Who was actually the first Robot Master I usually go after in Mega Man 5, but Mega Man World 4, I think in terms of weakness order, he makes the most sense to go for last. And his stage is actually pretty reminiscent of his original one, especially in terms of enemies. They brought a lot of the original ones in. Because it's on a train, which I guess is... I have no idea what's going on with this game's plot anymore, if you can't tell. And honestly, this stage is very repetitive, because you go through this kind of stage design at least 3 times, which is a bit unoriginal, but it's unoriginal, but it's a train, so I'll write it off, because a lot of trains are designed to be the same. Though it at least has these enemies, because this chicken and its eggs are actually really good for energy farming. And P-chip farming, actually. Because they are pretty much a constant flow out. If you just constantly stay in that one spot and shoot down them when they land on the ground, you can get a lot of stuff out that way. That was horrible grammar. I apologize for that. Though I'm not a fan of the song for this stage. Then again, Charge Man's theme never really interested me. You gonna open up? Thank you. Though this stage actually has a good amount of P-chips in it, so it's good for farming for those, I suppose. Ah, and I see this stage wants us to use Ring Boomerang a lot. Thank you for the free 1-up. Part of me wonders why they bothered putting these rewards in, because you'll always have Ring Boomerang by this point, because in like classic series on the NES, it makes sense to put those there, because you might not have the weapon here, but you're always gonna have it here, so why even put them there in like behind a wall? Just put them in open space, really, because there's nothing stopping you from getting them, unless you're a speedrunner. So, what does sense make? Well, mind you, it just doesn't make sense in my head. To you guys, it might make perfect sense, which, yeah, it's how people work. These chicken enemies are always kind of annoying to me. I don't know why. Mind you, their eggs, I feel, are a bit harder to hit in the NES version for some reason. I don't know why. And I think now I'm out of things to talk about with this stage. Although this is a random little, side path. Oh yeah, that's the thing with Mega Man World 4. Rush is very picky about where he'll land. I don't know why. In Mega Man, in the NES games, he was a lot less picky about where he would land. Because I think in the NES games, a bit of him could be in the wall, but in this, if even a pixel of him's in the wall, he will not land. Mind you, the smaller screen might have something to do with that, so, yeah. But yeah, you do that for an energy tank, it's kind of pointless in the long run, really, but I'm glad it was there because it allowed me to keep my energy up. And, very lazily placed, there's the Y. I'd rant about why that's kind of lazily placed like that, but honestly, in Mega Man 5, the letter you found in Charge Man's stage was about as well hidden. It was just in a window on the top of the screen, so I won't rant about that. Mind you, I think one of the things with Rush in this game is that he appears a bit farther in front of you than he has in other games. So, And that ring boomerang was useless. Give me energy. Yes, feed me. Be a healthy egg breakfast for a robot. I guess that's all I'll get. No, I'll give them this, though. Mega Man World 4, while also brings a lot of new gimmicks to the table, also feels familiar enough with Mega Man Normal 5 to seem like it's actually trying to contribute to these games properly. If that's the proper term. I don't think I said that right. Either way, time for Charge Man. He's weak to Power Stone, so get that out. And his attack pattern's more or less the same. He walks around a lot. And his main attacks are to either charge at you, which you can jump over, or this little smoke bomb attack, which you can not take damage from because it's randomly placed. That was horribly explained. However, Power Stone's actually a bit more effective in this version, because first off, he has less HP and it does more damage. And also the trajectories seem a bit better for damaging him. I don't know what it is. Because I hit him twice there. You can it's rare you can do that in the NES version. Either way, that's all for the new Robo Masters defeated. After beating Charge Man, we get Charge Kick, which when you equip it, adds a little attack to your slide. It's useless! I never use it in this game. I rarely ever use it in Mega Man 5, so not much of a point in it. However, that's not all we get. We also get Rush Jet, which is sadly still the way it was in Mega Man World 3. You can't control its up or down movement. You know, it goes in a straight line no matter what. However, the level design has been kinder about that this time. And before we head back to the stage select, let's actually go back to Light's lab. So we can buy an S-Tank. Because having one of these around is really useful for stuff coming up. Especially around the 36-minute mark, I'd say. And now it's time for us to head after Ballade once again. Come here, you little... This is why you need all 4 Wily letters. I believe you come here before getting them. You just see Mega Man stand in front of the door and you're like, go get the 4 letters. Love this theme, though. But yeah, if you're paying attention right there, Power Stone still had the half energy it had from the Charge Man fight. So yeah, your weapon energy doesn't replenish here. And this is kind of a strange little section of stage. First off, it slows down a lot due to those entities there on the right. The way these things work is that when you're near them, you magnetize towards them. And you're always stuck towards them. However, their fields are so tiny, it's you kind of wonder why they bothered. Because there's only the 2 of them. And this is the only one that really has the danger of killing you. Though I'll admit, whenever I'm over here, I'm tempted to get this life, but I don't feel like jumping over to the right. But get your Mega Buster out, because it's time for Ballade. And this time he has a bit of an upgrade. Like Sunshades. The fight is different, though. First off, he jumps a lot more, and his attacks are not only bigger, but they also cause an explosion when you shoot them. His movement pattern's still overall the same, but honestly, he's a bit easier in my eyes, because he stands still a bit more often. And I think he jumps more, too. Keep your energy up still, obviously, but as long as you keep a relentless onslaught with the Mega Buster, he's pretty easy. Kind of sad for the final Mega Man killer, because 5 doesn't make a new one, sadly. But for beating him, we finally get his power-up, the Ballade Cracker, which is a really good weapon, actually, because first off, you have a lot of it. And the way it works is that you can aim it in any direction, similarly to Pharaoh Shot. But I believe it's either, I think it happens after a certain distance, but when it hits something, it causes a giant explosion. This is necessary in the upcoming section, so get this out. What in the... Oh. I'll get the Ridley theme. Yeah, we actually have to escape the tank now because it's exploding. However, you're going to notice a lot of the missiles are inopportunely placed. That's why you need Ballade crackers so you can aim them and destroy the platforms. However, don't destroy the ones over the pits, obviously, because that's a bad idea. Honestly, though, as long as this is more or less just a tutorial on how to use Ballade cracker because it's not too hard. You can't, I'll admit, I think Ballade cracker is the only thing you can use. Maybe you can use Pharaoh shot here. I know you can't use crystallize, so it's a bit pointless, honestly, as a weapon in the long run. But it's nothing too hard. The only thing you have to, I can say is destroy those 2 missiles I just destroyed because otherwise you're not going to be able to make this jump. Whee! And a bit of a speedrun trick coming up once we get to the door. When you get to the door, which is actually coming right up here, don't destroy all 3 missiles that are on the right. Only destroy the top one. Because you can actually slide to the door from here. And we're out of there. Alright, what have we got now? Oh, of course they're going to show us the tank self-destructing. Why does everything always do this? I mean, I suppose in this case I can see it as Wily seeing that Ballade was defeated, so he hit the self-destruct button. But in a lot of other cases, it just doesn't make sense. Oh, let me guess, Wily. Another spaceship. That looks familiar. Either way, welcome to the very long last stage. Though we do actually have a cutscene first. Listen up, Megaman. Wily escaped to his secret space ship. While I modify Rush for use in outer space, you better make as many items as possible. I only really need one thing, and I'm just gonna get a weapons tank, I believe, just for safekeeping, just for safety's sake. This is the last shop opportunity you have in the game, though, if I recall, so get whatever you need. In fact, part of me would recommend grinding for P-chips so you can max out on energy and weapon tanks before going after Ballade, but I didn't do that. Also, gotta love how, technically speaking, Light made the upgrades to Rush in like 20 seconds. Though it looks like it's just Rush Marine with a jet booster on the back. Anyway, time for the raid on Wily's spaceship. The early sections here are very easy because you can more or less just slide and nothing will ever touch you. Though every 2 screens we get a little Metar gunner boss. Jump on their cannon and fire at their eyes and you should never ever get touched. Especially if your first shot's a charge shot where you'll always take them out first. These guys are kind of annoying because you have to predict where they're landing and they take like a third of your health if they hit you, so don't let them do that. But honestly, the first third here, nothing too interesting. Oh god. This screen, they start throwing a bit more at you with like a Sniper Joe in a random ass military vehicle that fires missiles at you, but honestly, it's nothing too hard. The third screen, though, things get it. Well, no, the 6th screen. Oh god, stay away, stay away. We got a new boss. This weird ass cannon thing. This thing actually uses the napalm bomb and the Ballade cracker for some reason. And you can only hit it when the little white thing is fully visible like that. The most annoying thing about this boss, though, is that little arm thing, because that's almost always what hits me. Because it moves a bit too quick for its own good. Oh, that's right, it can also use Ring Boomerang. Maybe it uses all the Robot Master abilities. I don't know. Either way, it has nowhere near enough health to be a real threat, except for that arm thing, but I guess keep an eye on your energy beforehand. And it'll go down with enough time in combat. And, patience, that's the word, not combat. And with that, we're about a third of the way done with this stage. Yeah, the rest of this video is just this final stage, by the way, so we're here for a while. And if I recall correctly, actually, Ballade's stage in Mega Man 10 is actually this. Because a lot of the Mega Man killer stages in Mega Man 10, or I mean all 3 of them, Anchor, Ballade, and Punk, are all based off their stages, or at least a stage from their respective game. Also, free energy tank and energy tank shard here. Thank you. And I hate the placement of this next enemy. You're gonna run into this guy a lot this stage, so get used to having to attack them and dodge their attacks properly. Though, thankfully, like a lot of the Mega Man final stages, you've seen all the enemies before at this point, so it's nothing too hard, all things considered. Though we will get a few mini-bosses along the way, I will say that. Though, not a fan of this music track. Mind you, it also played for the last stage, and I think the first time we even went to a ballad stage. So it's a bit unoriginal, but... eh... Thank you for the life energy. Well, I don't know what it is, though, about the Mega Man World games and having really long final levels for the most part. 3, 4, and I believe even 5 especially. Because they don't need it. Maybe they're just trying to pad the game out, but because that's what it feels like at a lot of points. Because we have a lot of rooms that just have one enemy in them like this, which is kind of pointless. But we do get sections like this part of the stage, which I absolutely hate. We're over a lot of bottomless pits, and we're gonna have some of those trap enemies eventually. During test recordings, this stage angered me, because either I didn't make the jump, or things like him knocked me back into the pit. Oh, God. Have I ever mentioned how much I hate knockback in certain games? Because in this game, I really hate it. Castlevania, not so much, because while it can kill me a lot, it can also save me a lot. But we do get mini-bosses in these stages, and they are usually these eyes. The way this guy works is that when you hit him, he makes 3 replicas of himself, which you can destroy with Tornado Rain, which is why I actually have it out. So I just wanted to explain that. The best way to take him out, though, is just to keep attention to which one's the real one, and shoot charged Mega Buster shots at it. Though it is worth noting, the more damage you do to him, the faster he gets. I'm not sure if that speed carries over to any copies he makes, but he can't make new copies when there's still at least one on screen, I believe. So if you're just good at placing where they're going, and remember which one's which, this is actually a really easy mini-boss. Looking at these guys, though, I wonder if they were an attempt at this game's devil. Because obviously the devils have a running theme of an eyeball being the main thing about them. And for beating him, you get a large energy. That's nice. Though this section sucks because there's a lot of these guys. Though, actually, one detail I would have liked about this stage is if the music got more instruments or more complex the farther in you got. Because, you know, that makes sense. But I guess not in this case. Oh, well. One thing I don't think I've shown off at this point, yeah, I know for a fact I am because they've all been black and white and gray. All the Mega Man World games do work on a Game Boy Color, and each stage more or less gets its own shade of color, though the Mega Man on the bottom is always blue. But that's not really worth showing off because they're all still pretty monochromatic. It's always like black, white, some shades and all the shades of gray are replaced with one specific color. Like, all the shades of gray will be like a certain red or something like that. So it's not really worth it. Plus, in some cases, that can be a real eyesore, so it's just kind of better to be black and white and gray in my eyes. Plus, it's not like it's Shantae 1, where you get an extra for depending on which console you play it on, so, yeah. Also, I could have gotten those 2 energies, and I think the E-Tank beyond them coming up here, but I decided not to. Why? I didn't think about it. Oh, come on, Rush. Oh, it's an extra life. There's the energy tank. I do get the energy tank. I know that much. Why? Because it's a bit easier. Though, this is actually really annoying money. I recommend using either Ballade Cracker or a fully charged Pharaoh Shot to take him out. Come on. Yeah, I got it. I think that's the highest life count I've had in these games so far. And now we got another one of these eyes. This one only splits into 2 when you damage it. The way this one works, though, is that the room shifts, and this one, well, first off, it only goes around the borders, obviously. But the room itself actually shifts very jaggedly, might I add. Like the game stops for a second so it can switch where the platforms are. However, with this one, I believe you can damage either one of them and you'll do damage. So if you know how to place your shots right, you can probably do damage really quickly. And each one drops an energy capsule. So this is actually a really easy fight, whatever. Also, if you don't know how to charge a shot for that Panther, I think Crystallize is the only way you can take it out reliably. Screw that guy. Screw this Panther, because I don't think he moves until you get really close. In fact, the thing I can say about this stage is that a lot of the enemies do hurt. Like doing a fourth of your health or more, which really sucks. But, oh well. Oh god. I could be running from this guy right now, and I do. Or do I? Oh, I don't? Okay. I don't know why I did that. It wasn't really worth it in the end. Oh, hey, a Wily capsule. What on earth is happening here? Well, you see, the thing is, Mega Man World 4 is the first to bring back something from the classic series, and next series and everything else, a proper boss rush. So, if you know my videos, you know that it is music time. Hit the music, Jim! I love that remix of Shadow Man's theme. That was from, very similarly to back when I did Mega Man 8, where I used the Mega Man 20th Anniversary Techno CD's mix of the Mega Man 2 Dr. Wily Stage 1 theme. That's from the Mega Man 20th Anniversary Rock CD, and that's their Shadow Man remix, and I love it. And now we're thrust right into the final boss, actually. Alright, what you got this time, Wily? The Mega Man 3D Blast final boss arena? Really? Okay, that is some perspective failure. But that's actually a really nice sprite. What you looking at, Mega Man? Oh, the final boss from Mega Man World 1. That's a nice little throwback. Only this time it's a Gundam. Okay, then. Yeah, we're fighting a giant mecha this time around. The first phase, I've always used Power Stone against it, so I assume that's its weakness, because you can get 2 hits at a time off with it. I'm not sure if there's anything else you can hit it with, honestly, aside from maybe Crystal Eye. The way this fight works is that he stays in the middle for a bit, and then he'll break down either his right arm or his left arm. I think it depends on where you are, and that'll cause some rubble to drain and hit the ground. And then he'll occasionally shoot a shot with that little centerpiece there. Not a very hard first phase. Though I gotta say, not feeling the final boss music, because this plays for all the phases, and it's pretty repetitive and not very fitting to fighting a giant mech on what looks to be a ship from a mecha show. Huh. I'm not even gonna comment on that. And now it's time for phase 2. This time around, he actually comes down to our level. This phase is really annoying because I think he has an undodgeable attack. Weak against Ballade Cracker, though. You can only hit him when the mouth is open. After that, he uses his little weird Gundam antennas. What is the purpose of those things in the Gundam series, by the way? To fire some spark shots, and then he rams you. I'm not sure if you can dodge that ram at all. I don't think you can. Obviously, at this point, you're at the final boss, so feel free to use any E-tanks or S-tanks you got. But honestly, Phase 2 is really easy. In fact, as a whole, this is probably the easiest final boss in the Mega Man World series. Well, no, Mega Man World 1 and 2's final boss was really easy, wasn't it? In fact, aside from maybe 5 and a little bit of 3, a lot of the Mega Man World final bosses are really easy now that I think about it. No, because 3's was really easy as well. Huh. Yeah, 5's the only one that has a really difficult final boss. How about that? And looks like we finally got him this time. That is a horrible lie. Phase 3. And it is pathetic. First off, it uses the same music again. The way this works is that he'll teleport all around the top of the screen. And he'll reappear above you twice, firing or dropping what looks to be atom bombs at you. Those bombs will destroy the floor. After he does that twice, the screen will move right to refresh. When the screen is moving right, that is your best opportunity to hit him with Ballade crackers. However, when he's doing this, he does drop the invincible balls from Mega Man World 4. And once the screen refreshes, he does the same thing again. It's a very simple final boss, honestly. Though I'm not gonna lie, it's probably my favorite out of the Mega Man World final bosses, because at least it has scale. Because final bosses, to me, always have to have a bit of size to them, otherwise it doesn't feel quite right. Except in the case of, like, Tales of games where, like, human size, because for those stories it makes sense. Oh, by the way, if there's a pit to the right of you, or to the left of you, you might die after beating him. Watch out for that. Alright, yes, Wily, bow to me and my greatness. You are inferior. Why are you looking all smug at me, dude? Dr. Octopus? Okay. Oh, hey, a cutscene. Ah, great. Self-destruct sequences. Well, I guess the golem did, the giant, Mega Robot did have a pretty big explosion, so I can understand this one self-destructing. But we should probably get out of here. By the way, I should mention that final boss actually did have a name. It's the Wily Robo Iron Golem. We should probably get out of here. Thankfully, these barriers are very pathetic. Alright, let's get out of here. And that's a big barrier. Okay, my charge head should still be able to take care of it. Uh-oh. This isn't good. Ballade? Ballade! Why are you here? Stop, Ballade! You're badly injured. I know, Mega Man. After our battle, I realized that I was wrong. This is all I can do for you now. Goodbye. Ballade! Well, okay, suction. Well, that just happened. They actually randomly brought in some character at the very end there. And that's the end of that space station. You'd think he'd stop building them by now, because those are probably very expensive. Also, call it a hunch. We'll see this view again. Don't know why I say that, but let's just say Star Force is a thing. And that's the end. That's pretty abrupt, even when compared to the previous ones. And we don't even get a normal enemy roll call. We only get the bosses this time around, and like their attack patterns and Mega Man using their weakness against them. But yeah, that's Mega Man World 4, and honestly, it and Mega Man World 3 are probably my favorites now that I've replayed this. Like Mega Man World 3, it feels very close to an authentic Mega Man game on the NES. It still has a few quirks to it, don't get me wrong, but the bosses feel right, the stages feel pretty decent for what they are, and plus there's a good enough amount of... Now let me restart that sentence. There's a good enough amount of original content to make it feel like it's its own thing. Plus the soundtrack, while not as good as Mega Man World 3's in my eyes, is really good. The control is still a bit off like the rest of the Mega Man World games, but honestly, the way I look at it now is that's more what the Mega Man World controls. Not the NES controls, because it's on the Game Boy. You shouldn't come into this expecting it to be exactly like the NES games. But yeah, this one is honestly a very decent play. If you want to play this, like the others, it is on the Game Boy and the 3DS Virtual Console. I think it's about $6, so it's a pretty easy to come by game, all things considered. I recommend it. More so than Mega Man World 1 and 2, and about as much as Mega Man World 3. And with that, one game left to go in the Mega Man World series, and that is Mega Man World 5, which is the one that a lot of people play on their channel rather than all 5 of them. Why? It has the most original stuff in it, honestly. And then I'll be coming either tomorrow or Monday, whenever this gets uploaded. Unless I feel like starting uploading on weekends over the summer, which I highly doubt. Mind you, I doubt this will come out over the summer. I'll probably already be in my sophomore year by the time it gets to this. Which will be interesting. I really do have to wonder, though, why they don't give actual, like, credits to developers in these games, though. Because I don't even think Mega Man World 5 does that, so... Why do that? I can understand in some games why they don't do it, because... in some cases, they have the credits play at the start of the game. Or if you just, like, leave the title screen on long enough. But I don't think in any of these games the developers get proper credit unless you, like, read the box and... instruction manual or something. So that's a little odd. Though I think, even with them showing these 8 Robot Masters all over again, I think this credit sequence is still shorter than all the other ones, so at least you're getting the length part right. Plus, I love the way it ends. I'm honestly out of things to talk about now. I guess if I were to compare the Robot Masters to their in-game incarnations, I'd say a lot of them are a lot easier in this game, actually, because a lot of their weaknesses take them out a lot more quickly. Unlike some of the previous games, too, this is the game where I think they finally got the boss arena stage size to boss size ratio more or less perfect. Because you can now have a lot of room to jump over them and maneuver around them, unlike Mega Man Worlds 1 through 3. Mind you, they had that more or less right by 3, but there was still a bit more room to go on it. Plus, I have to admit, Ballade is a really cool design. Not my favorite robot, not my favorite Mega Man killer design. That goes to Punk without a doubt, but I like this guy. He's the only one that has character, that's for certain. And I love this ending view here. Part of me really wishes this was remade in HD so I could see what this would look like, because this would probably look great. If it was like a DuckTales remastered, that would look excellent. Mind you, I'm surprised they haven't actually released the Mega Man World games in some compilation, because that would be really cool. Either way, with that, I'm going to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in Mega Man World 5. See you guys then. Also, I love this ending theme.